What if love is more than just a feeling? What if it's a universal force shaping how we understand ourselves, our community, and the world? Welcome to the Philosophy of Love, where we break down the science behind love, how it influences our minds, our behaviors, and the way we connect with humanity. Join us as we explore the psychology of love as a driving force for empathy, growth, and understanding. You're watching the Philosophy of Love podcast with Juan Lee and Dr. James Brockington.
Well, hello. Guess what? We're back. It's been a minute, but we're back.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Philosophy of Love with myself, Juan Lee, and Dr. James Brockington. We are presented by ClearJourney, which is a nonprofit that basically we're here to help you navigate life more successfully. If you got challenges in your life, we're here to help. ClearJourney is here to help you navigate through them. So that's, again, one of the things. If you want to learn more about ClearJourney, go over to our, like I said, go over to our website. And also you can go to our YouTube channel where you can hear all of the various types of podcasts that we have. It's our network of different podcasts, which is this one program is a part of that. And that's where you can learn more about us and about ClearJourney. Myself, I'm the founder of ClearJourney and an author, a speaker, and I'm the author of a book called Love Made Simple. But if you want to know more about that, that's the book. That's the book right there. Love Made Simple, the guide to inner peace, contentment, and success. And if you want to know more about the foundation of ClearJourney, that's where you can find. It's on YouTube. It's also Audible. It's on Audible. You can find out more about it there. But again, if you go to our YouTube channel, you can find out more about us. In this particular podcast, which is called The Philosophy of Love, we talk about the psychology behind love and how it really is. It's a science to this thing, and the thing about it is that it works. If we all knew how it worked, we could all begin to operate in it in a similar sense. Because it's so very interesting because of today's topic and how we're talking about it. It is something that is, well, we're going to talk about it, but anyway, it's something that if you really understood it, and you don't have to know the science behind it because it works, because it's a science behind it. It works. It really, honestly, truly works. So, Doc, how have you been?
I've been doing great, Juan. Just hanging in there and acclimatizing myself to the various peaks and valleys.
Well, hey,
life.
There you go. Isn't that how it goes?
That's exactly how it goes.
It's called life. That's our other podcast.
Reason.
It's our other podcast called It's Life. And it's amazing how it's I'm so many things. I've been up since like 3:00 this morning. And I've been running things through my head. And so when you say it's life more, it really takes on a little bit of a more of a emphasis today, in the sense of how very significant it is to understand this thing called life. Because
and take it that step further, because once you understand it, acceptance becomes its foundation. And it is through that acceptance that you can actualize it and achieve whatever it is you're really seeking.
And how you've just put it, I mean, because when you know what the purpose of life is, the purpose of it. And I don't think many of us do, to be honest with you.
Okay, I'm gonna take that statement. I'm gonna take that statement, and I'm going to reverse engineer it for you a little by saying it's not so much know what it is it does, it's acknowledging through acceptance what that means to us as a purpose.
Okay. I can get that. But I'm using my simple vernacular because
Absolutely.
it's about the fact of how do I apply the knowledge that I have to implement in a successful manner so that I can get all out of this experience that I can get out of it, knowing that there is a specific purpose. There's a specific purpose. We're all here, and we don't go no further. We're going to talk about today.
Okay.
And this conversation is really entwined in it.
Sure.
And we're talking about today, is love a universal human experience?
And it most certainly is.
Here's the thing. We get up and involved in the various cultures, and we get confused by whether or not it's something that I can experience. And for it to be universal, what does that actually mean for it to be universal?
Universal kicks you into, from an acronym perspective, broken down into its component parts, what love really is. Love is, as we've discussed before, a living, organic, vibrant emotion. Living. It experiences a process of alignment and integration. Life as a system is a logical, integrated, fluid environment. It means it makes sense. We may struggle with the acceptance of the sense that it makes, but it is clearly defined. You can understand the conditions and the limitations that outline the structure of your existence. You can, because you experience it. The universal core of that experience is your belief system. When your belief systems are such that you can see how you are thinking about an event you are experiencing, your behavioral response to those thoughts becomes aligned. That's the thinking and the behavior alignment. What you think becomes behaviorally what you execute. So in essence, 3 steps in thinking: understanding, acceptance, and acknowledgement are mirrored behaviorally, and this is the universality of it, are mirrored behaviorally by adapting, adjusting, and achieving. You'll adapt to what you understand. You'll go ahead.
No, so what you're saying then, so there's some components that makes it challenging for us to be able to see the universality of love because it goes through a process of thinking.
And it is that challenge. It is that challenge that is the necessity to elevate our awareness of the circumstance and the situation. See, everything that we do is about learning.
Stop. Don't.
Heartbreak.
You've been all into my. I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning, and you just break it down in just 2 seconds, and that took me 3 hours. You were learning. That
this is what you pay me to do, Juan.
That is so significant to realizing what this experience is all about. When you break it down, the very fundamentals of this experience entails learning.
does.
It entails learning.
Learning is at the core.
But for some reason, we're not engaging it on a moment by moment basis of learning.
Now that's where the struggle for acceptance of what you understand becomes so significant. Because the moment you understand the conditions and the limitations, you have defined a meaning and a purpose. The moment you understand the conditions and the limitations, you have defined a meaning and a purpose. You have created what is a singularity, a single event that is linked now to an expectation of response. That expectation of response is how you are adapting and adjusting to what you have just established as a purpose and a meaning. So I understand and I can adapt. I accept and I can adjust. You see, I can adjust to what I accept. I can align my behavior to my expectation of balance in what I have accepted. And why is balance so essential? Balance is that sense of stability and congruity that links you to your specific circumstances. We call it reality testing.
Is that now? So you're making a case for balance as not being an option.
Balance is not. Balance is, and this is the point that makes it so difficult for people to acknowledge. This is why we sometimes refer to it as an approach avoidance circumstance. The closer I get to it, the more I want to avoid it, because the moment I actually accept it is the moment I can no longer deny it. When you know what something is, you're not confused by what it's not, unless you choose to be.
And see, and therein lies the challenge, because now it's easier to deny that feeling of understanding than it is to accept it.
And therein lies that single event horizon in your subconscious mind that is defined as denial.
No, go ahead. I mean, but you've really basically begun to address so many different components that are in play as we're trying to establish how love is so universal but carries on so many different aspects that implies or that impact the ability for it to be universal.
And it is because it carries so many of those component parts, you can see its fluidity. You can see how it flows. Remember, life, logical, integrated, fluidic environment. Love, living, organic, vibrant emotion. The organic and vibrancy of love as the emotion is the core strength that facilitates the ability to see this acceptance.
Again, that acceptance becomes the pivotal point of being able to actualize love in this experience.
Because that is exactly what acknowledgement means. I understand, I accept, and I acknowledge. I now acknowledge purpose and meaning, which gives me, and this is the key point, a direction. I now have a focal point. I now have a placement. I now have a mile marker on the highway that tells me exactly where I am in relation to whatever destination I'm seeking. I now No.
And see, and again, directions implies intention.
And intentions define purpose and meaning. This is
Right.
what I intend to do. Now, the question begs itself, is this the most appropriate thing for you to do?
And I would then, as it pertains to our topic, is to say that love is the thing that is the most important and appropriate thing to display and to possess along this journey to reaching any potential goal or outcome.
And that is precisely what acknowledgement now becomes as achievement. I achieve what I acknowledge.
So then how do we then, so then the question then begs then is to not as much as that in fact that it is universal, love is being universal,
Mhm.
is that how do we accept the fact that it is universal in the sense that because it plays such a pivotal part in this experience collectively together to accomplishing and achieving our own individual and collective goals.
Because in the context of acknowledging the journey to reach that point of understanding, acceptance, and acknowledgement, critical thinking is what it's called. Once critical thinking is achieved, the pattern, structure, and form of how we define our conditions and our limitations enable us to be more judicious about the choices that we make. Why is there the necessity for judiciousness in your choices? Because your choices are far more significant than your decisions.
Right. We talked about that. And so when you say critical thinking, is that now a characteristic that is not for everybody, or does not everybody have the capacity for critical thinking?
Everybody has the ability at some point in time to receive clarification of the purpose and meaning of their existence.
Is that by chance or is that intentional?
That is by intention because it's a matter of survival. When we talk about Darwin's theory of evolution, he'll tell you that it is the organism that has the capacity to adapt that will survive because it can, in fact, adapt. Adaptability is your capacity to integrate yourself into the acknowledgement of meaning and purpose in whatever environment you find yourself in. Why? Because that is your challenge to survival. The moment I can understand, accept, and acknowledge my circumstances and my situations, I can define and engage in the most productive resolution to whatever circumstance and situation I'm encountering. Why? Because the criticality of my thinking is the motivational drive of my feelings. This is the point where emotion separates itself from feeling. Emotion says, pay attention to this challenge. Why? Because it is essential to your survival that you know what it is you're dealing with. When you are knowing something, K-N-O-W, when you are knowing something, what you are doing is taking your knowledge, normalizing your operational worldview. The knowledge you have normalizes, puts it in the classification of condition and limitation. That normalizes, it makes it acknowledged as a condition of acceptance, of understanding that I can adapt and adjust to.
So you've basically just expound upon the need for education.
And because it is a need, remember when we talked about Maslow and the triangle? Until you are accepting of your needs, you will never achieve what you want.
Well, but again, because here, the reason why I just connected that to what you just said was because we live in a space, as we've said earlier, that learning is not optional. It's not an option.
Right.
But in any moment in time, we are operating in many cases out of what we don't know we don't know.
And that's true. That is true.
And in doing so, we find ourselves within limitations of what we are having to make a determining factor, the materials or the information to make determining factors in our own best interests.
And because we structurally engage in that limitation, we challenge ourselves. And this is the growth potential. We challenge ourselves to elevate beyond the uncertainty.
That's that's what I'm getting at here, is that if we don't take that challenge, then we're subject to that which we don't know we don't know.
And we continue to be maligned by and limited by that lack of trust and confidence in our capacity to do so. We argue for our limitation.
So my point is that this full circle here is what we're talking about now, is that we now, even in the process of understanding something that is universal in nature, we still now play an instrumental part in the being able to actualize and utilizing it because of our inability to desire it or to want it or to do what it takes to possess it.
Your self-actualization. Let's follow your concept. Your self-actualization is that linkage between what it is you want and what you need. How is it linked? Because as a system, your emotions link you to your feelings. That is yourself. My emotions as a system are linking me to my feelings. The moment I know what it is I feel, I have determined that something is significant enough to influence me to a depth of realization that I must have, that I have the capacity to pursue. Because I clarified it.
And that's purpose.
That's purpose. And purpose defines meaning. What does it mean to me?
All I'm saying is that life universally has a purpose.
And let's hold that thought. Life universally has a purpose. Now, what have we just given ourselves as the challenge point? To see the universal purpose that life has. And what is that universal purpose? To elevate us beyond any ambiguities and any uncertainties we have in our concurrent circumstance and situation. Concurrent because it's happening at the exact same moment that we have the ability to rise to the occasion. We just need to motivate ourselves to do so.
Now, I believe that that's the practical application of that universal purpose.
Exactly.
Exactly. I have a tendency to put that inside of something greater than.
Okay. Now you can do that. You can fit it in. Now, and here's why.
No, I'm saying put it in something. I put
Yeah,
something over that and
you put
encompassing that.
something over it, and you have the capacity to do that because remember now we're talking about the foundation of core central orientation to realistic experiences and events. Core, your core belief system. You have the capacity to fit that in to what you at the core of your essence believe, because that core is going to become your principles and your values.
And that boy,
Yeah, really.
that's a whole nother conversation now.
Well, that's
You
about
entered
4 or
into a
5
whole
other
nother conversation now, because when you talk about beliefs and
values.
values,
Mm-hmm.
that's critical to being able to reach any type of purpose that you might establish for yourself, or that is determined based on something bigger than yourself.
And the moment of that acceptance and the moment of the acknowledgement of that acceptance aligns itself to your values and your principles, that becomes your decision-making process.
Which is also
That
your
becomes,
motivation.
which is also your systemic emotional link to your feelings, your motivation, what drives me. Because the moment you know what drives you, you've accepted the accountability and the responsibility for what drives you. That's why the choice is always more significant than the decision. When I choose to be driven by this, that's where my commitment lies.
I'm gonna just put a little pin here. I'm gonna throw something in, and we're
Okay.
gonna end up coming back here in another episode, because therefore that's where faith and religion and belief in God is such a powerful element in your processes to accomplishing whatever it is you deem that to be and mean. So we'll come back to it. I'm just saying, because that's a whole conversation. That's a whole conversation, but it piggybacks with what you're talking about.
It does.
Because there is, what's greater than faith in context of what we're talking about?
What's greater than faith is the commitment to the belief structure. What's greater than faith is the commitment to the belief structure that reinforces the fluidity and the interconnectedness of faith. This is where we sometimes get ourselves caught up in religiosity as opposed to spirituality.
Don't go there. Don't go there. That's another conversation. That's a separate conversation altogether.
You asking these questions.
I know, but what it shows is that there's so many connections to our experiences in life. And you just froze.
And I'm back. I'm right back at you.
No, but you see how significant and how interconnected our experiences are across the spectrum of life. And as a result, if you get one, if you figure it out, it transfers over and across so many of our experiences that would render the same results if we get it.
If we get it, if we get it, and if we get it, accept it.
Then that's it.
And see, by doing that extra step into the doorway of acceptance, we have just broadened our perspective, sense of who we are in this continuum. We now see the interconnectedness. We now see the linkage. We now see the flow point. We can now see, just like a stream flowing down a mountain, we can see the unbroken, stable movement from one location to the other.
So the significance of understanding that love is universal
Mhm.
in the human experience serves us how?
Because it undergirds and it underscores the significance of acceptance of that. When we accept that principle,
Willingly, willingly.
willingly accept that principle. This is that point where, we've been talking about Judeo-Christian systems. This is the point where, Moses is at the burning bush and he says, okay, I know you want me to go do this. I understand what you want me to do, but people are going to start asking, who gives me the authority to do this? When they ask that question, what do I say? And the most prolific and most profound statement stated in the Bible is, I am that I am. The interactive mindfulness of the thoughts that have activated your thinking reinforces that interactive mindfulness. We tell ourselves to be ourselves, and don't be surprised when we are.
We're gonna have to work. We're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to dig into that.
I'll unpack it for you.
We're gonna have to dig it, because I am that I am. And you have just basically put the science behind a really philosophical statement that has been given to and heard it, and many of us not understood it in the context of the functionality of it.
The functionality of it. And look at that. Look at what you just said. The functionality of it, the purpose and the meaning of it. This is how it functions. It is, by definition, that movement that is universal. It does not change. The stability and the confirmation of that stability leads to its certainty. And here's the other side of that certainty, the clarity that it brings. When something is consistent, you can be certain of the confirmation of its existence, and that clarifies for you its meaning. That principle of knowledge gained is where wisdom is established.
Wow.
Hey.
Wow.
I know.
That is the application.
The application of
knowledge.
The universality of that knowledge. That's the application.
See, people are not going to want to stay with us, because we're going to unpack everything and understand that, you know what, if you only understood, in all of your getting, get understanding.
That's it. If you only understood.
And people look at understanding like it's a bad word, because they want to bring their own interpretation rather than understanding. And interpretation has a tendency to lend itself to one's own interpretation, one's own feelings.
Unless you're very, very careful and have deconflicted the emotionality from it, you are absolutely correct, because you can be manipulated by the emotional intensity of that experience.
Mm-hmm.
This is where, I sometimes struggle with the individual who says, I love him to death. It doesn't matter to me that I got 2 black eyes and a broken tooth and a broken arm, and I'm sitting in the emergency room at 3:00 in the morning. He loves me. That's not love. That's not love. That's the emotionality. That is the misconceptualized acknowledgement that there is some process that exists between the two of you, but that is not to be misconstrued. with what love in its essence truly is.
And I think we've been we've been taught or have been living experiences
Oh, yeah.
that have led us to bring up or to gather that interpretation.
Yeah, we have.
Of that perversion. And it's so detrimental to not only ourselves, but in the way in which we interact with others under the umbrella of that type of an understanding of what love is.
You know, it's the classic 2 steps forward, 7 steps back. You know, the closer we get to, the further we get away from. And that sometimes is the juxtaposition of the frustration that exists. You know, you're sitting there, I'm in a therapeutic session with someone, I'm sitting there, and, you know, you want to we have this thing that's called transference. I want to just jump across there, grab them by the shoulders, shaking them, saying, can't you get this? Can't you get this? And then the counter transference of it is, I've just eliminated myself as a reference source to this individual because I've allowed their emotionality to suck me in to that web. And 90% of the struggle pivots around that point. You know, 90% of the struggle pivots around what it is you are understanding and accepting. Because until you accept this, you are going to struggle with this. That is how denial as an application of the subconscious structure in the mind works. Until you disprove it, it's proven. And, you know, it's a chore. It's a chore.
It's making understanding that life is not supposed to be just passing you by.
Oh, no.
You've got to engage it to be able to realize its potential.
Yeah.
And when you don't know what it is that you're trying to engage in, man, you are subject to anything.
And the rub of it is, at the exact same time, life is still a contact sport. You're going to be involved in this. You are going to make contact. You're going to make connections. You're going to be either integrated into or woven into those connections with such an intensity that it broadens your awareness of the person that you are, or it myopically restricts your trust and confidence to expand beyond the person that you are. And then you become docile. And because I don't want to think about that. I want somebody else to think about it for me. Nobody else can live your structural life better than you can.
It's impossible because it's the concept of being able to unpack, so to speak, or unlearn some things before you can learn something new.
And then I'll take it a step further. It's disassimilate from it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
away from it completely.
Yeah, but I mean, but you got to recognize it to do that.
You got to see it to be it.
You're right. You got to do that. I mean, and so it just reiterates the fact that engagement is not an option.
It is not. And see, underscoring, is love a universal human experience? Engagement. You cannot forego and manipulate your way out of that universal acknowledgement of engagement. As long as we are going to be alive, we are going to engage. And then, metaphysically, I know I'm going to take us into another conversation. Metaphysically, even when we transition, we are still able to engage.
Look, don't start.
I know.
You didn't started something again. Now
I understand.
Now,
I opened these doors.
Because again, that goes into the connections that we create as an investment in this dispensation that we're in. That creates long-lasting connections,
connectivity,
long after your existence is gone.
The only thing I know, the only thing that's perishable is physicality. And sometimes when you can get past that hurdle, you can realize the precious value in the exchange of the moments that you share. And sometimes that can be the motivational core that's essential to the principle and value you bring to those moments that you share. If we saw more of that, there would be less of a desire to distract ourselves from the intensity of those kinds of moments, that experience, to share that kind of relationship.
It's the difference between something that I talk about is the motivation behind our actions, whether it's selfishly or unselfishly.
Oh, unselfish. Exactly.
And it's that motivation that drives you to the connections, because this thing called love is about what I can give more than what it is that I can receive.
You
It's
just
that,
talked about fulfillment.
yeah.
Yes, that's fulfillment.
Yes, and that's the essential thing that we're striving for and desiring in this experience. Whereas is that how many classes have you ever been taught about fulfillment? Unless it's in business.
Unless it's in business. Okay, I'll go there. Unless it's in business.
Unless it's in business and you're trying to fulfill an order.
Yeah,
How to fulfill stuff. But it's the same concept if you look at yourself as a fulfillment as a product that brings forth fulfillment.
a
It
mechanism
fulfills
of
something.
Yeah. You see yourself as a part of the larger concept, the larger construct. And then by virtue of being able to see that kind of integratedness in the things that you do, you can acknowledge the significance of the things that you do. You can see why you don't walk down the street and, as Phil Collins once said in his song, step on the other side of the street to get away from the lady who's sitting there down on her luck, or the guy that's down on his luck. It's just not about being another day in paradise.
Is that not the Damascus Road experience?
Well, there you go. You told me not to get you started, so
Okay,
you told me not to do it.
So you use the parallel that I can solely equate, I can associate with it and draw me in anyway. Okay.
Is that how we do this?
Okay, I get it. I understand. Well, look, we're gonna wrap this up because again,
Yeah.
the conversation is not one time.
No.
I mean, we have just peeled back some of the layers of the many layers, and that there's so many layers. But as the community stays with us, hangs in here with us,
yes,
and gives us an opportunity to continue to peel back these layers, what we're desiring and hoping for is that aha moments, those clarifying moments that makes life worth living.
And by worth it, transforming it into something that lives up to that value and that extensuousness of meaning and purpose.
It is a journey. And we're asking you, if you're here with us for the first time, thank you for coming out, being with us. If you're returning, hang in there with us. Come on back. Hit the like button on this particular episode of podcast. Hit the bell so you'll know when we are having more of these conversations and being aware and a part of them. If you want to get in touch with us, it's just info@clearjourney.org, and in the subject, just put the philosophy of love And if you got questions or we got answers for you.
No, we do.
Dr. Brockington is here. If you just want to speak to him specifically, just say Dr. Brockington in the subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
And we will get back to you. Give us an opportunity to help you navigate this thing called life. Mm-hmm. And using this thing called love, this mindset, this philosophy, that we can be able to, through it, navigate a more successful life. Anything you want to share with them and cover up till we can wrap this one up and get, we excited about the next one already, but
I think that's the point. A seed has been planted. A seed has been planted that is going to be what is the byproduct of everything we do. Continue to plant a seed, and it's going to grow. It's just that simple.
Yeah. And so stay with us, guys. Everybody, come on back. If you know people that, and listen, the conversation is just, you hear this, just he and I, we sitting there chopping it up.
Yeah.
And the fact is that we're trying to make it simple so that we can be able to use it. Because granted, we're on both sides of the spectrum. The doctor there, and we got someone who's just trying to figure it out. And so together, hopefully we can be able to share something that maybe connects with you in your journey. So until next time, we're going to see you then. But we look forward to you coming back and joining us.
Absolutely. Be safe out there.
Thank you for watching this episode. Take a moment to head over to our social media platforms, connect with us, and leave a comment. We'd also love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, head over to ClearJourney.org for more great resources. We'll see you next time on the Philosophy of Love podcast.